Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. Today we're going to be tackling a topic that's been generating a ton of buzz lately. It seems like it's everywhere. We're talking about the demand for generative AI skills. And what's really caught our attention is how Microsoft is approaching this whole thing. Specifically, their offer of a free professional certificate in generative AI.
Yeah.
And get this, it's available through 2025.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. Offering that kind of training for free, it really signals just how important these skills are becoming,
Absolutely. I mean, AI is transforming the job market so rapidly, and having even just a basic grasp of these skills, I think it can be a huge game changer for anyone's career.
Oh, for sure. This isn't just like keeping up with the latest trends or anything. It's about fundamental shifts in how we work, how businesses operate, even how we interact with technology every day.
So true.
So for today's deep dive, we're looking at a really interesting Tech Republic article. It's called Microsoft's first generative AI certificate is available for free. And we're also going to be pulling some data from the 2024 Microsoft Work Trend Index.
Some really interesting findings there.
Yeah, we really want to unpack why this matters for you. So let's get into it. We keep hearing that companies are like racing to adopt AI, with generative AI leading the charge. But what does that actually look like in practice?
Well, it's not just about automating tasks. It's really about unlocking all these completely new possibilities. Think about it for a second. Generative AI can create realistic product prototypes, generate personalized marketing copy, even compose music.
Oh, wow.
It's really changing the game across so many industries.
That's so cool. So it makes sense why there's such a massive demand for people who can harness its power. You know what? Speaking of that huge demand, the World Economic Forum actually predicts that over 75% of companies plan to integrate AI in the next 5 years.
75%.
I know, it's a huge number. That's a lot bigger than I would have thought.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
So let's dive into this Microsoft free generative AI certificate a little bit. What exactly does this program entail?
Okay, well, it's designed to give you a valid foundation in generative AI. It's broken down into 5 modules. You've got videos, quizzes. They even have a workbook to help you apply what you're learning.
Oh, cool.
And then when you complete the program, you get a LinkedIn Learning Badge, which is a great way to show off your new skills to potential employers.
That's awesome. And I think another really neat thing about this is that they offer it in a bunch of different languages. You've got English, Spanish, Portuguese, French, German, simplified Chinese, and Japanese.
Yeah, they're really trying to make this accessible.
They really are.
To a global audience. It shows that they want to empower individuals from all different backgrounds to participate in this technological shift.
I love that. And the program itself focuses specifically on Microsoft's AI tool, Copilot. So you're not just getting theoretical knowledge here. You're actually getting experience with a real-world application. Can you tell us a little bit more about what Copilot does, for those who might not be familiar?
Sure. So think of Copilot as like an AI assistant that's integrated into your workflow. It can help you do things like draft emails, summarize those super long documents that nobody wants to read, even generate little code snippets. It's all about making you more efficient and productive in your work.
I like that. So Microsoft is putting a lot of effort into making these skills accessible. But how big is the demand, really? I mean, is it all hype, or is there something really here? That's where that 2024 Microsoft Work Trend Index comes in, right?
Right.
What did they find?
It was pretty eye-opening, honestly. 75% of knowledge workers are already using AI in their jobs today.
75% already?
Yeah.
Wow. I had no idea it was that widespread. But I guess it makes sense with all these tools like Copilot becoming so integrated.
Right.
But here's where I thought things got really interesting. The index also found this kind of paradox, where you have a lot of workers who are afraid of AI taking their jobs.
Makes sense.
About 53% of people express that fear. But then on the other hand, you have a large amount of hiring managers, 55% in fact, who are worried about not having enough people with AI skills to fill open positions.
Yeah, it really highlights this growing skills gap in this rapidly evolving field.
So what does this all mean for someone listening right now?
It means that learning AI skills, especially in generative AI, can be a huge advantage in the job market. It's not about being replaced by AI. It's about working alongside it, becoming more valuable by learning how to use these tools effectively.
Partnering with it.
Exactly.
Like having a superpowered teammate.
Exactly.
I like that. That makes a lot of sense. So now one skill we keep hearing about is prompt engineering. Can you explain what that is and why it's so important in this world of generative AI?
Yeah, definitely. Prompt engineering is all about how you craft the instructions that you give to AI tools to get the result you're looking for. It's kind of like if you were giving somebody directions, the clearer and more specific your directions are, the better the outcome is going to be.
Okay. So it's not just about knowing how to use the tool. It's about knowing how to communicate effectively with the tool.
Exactly. It's like understanding the AI's language.
Interesting.
So, for example, let's say you were using AI to help you write a blog post.
Okay.
A really basic prompt might be, write a blog post about AI. But a well-engineered prompt would be much more specific. You would say things like what tone you want the post to have, who your target audience is, what the key takeaways should be. You could even include keywords for SEO.
Wow, that's a lot more detailed.
Yeah.
So the better the prompt, the better the output.
Right.
That seems pretty straightforward. But why is that so important?
Well, if you're using these tools to be more productive, the quality of the output you get really matters.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's a quote in that Tech Republic article from Shravan Goli, is the COO of Coursera, and he said, without good prompts, the tool won't be able to help employees boost productivity in a meaningful way.
That's a really good point. And a poorly written blog post, even if it's generated by AI, isn't going to be very helpful.
Right.
So prompt engineering is essential.
Yeah, for anybody who wants to maximize the potential of these AI tools.
So we've got these powerful tools. And we've got this free training from Microsoft. What could possibly go wrong? I'm just kidding. But this is all moving so fast.
Yeah. Is there anything else we should be thinking about as we're heading into this AI-powered future?
That's a good question. I think it's important to remember that technology is a tool. Like any tool, it can be used in many ways. The way we develop and deploy AI will have a huge impact on society. And that's something we should all be thinking about. You know, you're so right. It reminds me of something I read recently about how AI is being used to personalize education for students. Like imagine a world where every student has a customized learning plan that's tailored to their strengths and weaknesses. That's the kind of potential we're talking about.
Absolutely.
But then there's also things like data privacy and making sure that everyone has equal access to this technology.
Right. It's about finding the right balance.
Yeah.
We need to be aware of the potential downsides, while also embracing all the incredible possibilities.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground already. Can you give us a quick recap of the key takeaways before we wrap up?
Of course. So first of all, generative AI is here to stay. And the demand for these skills is only going to grow.
For sure.
And Microsoft is really trying to make those skills accessible by offering their professional certificate for free. It's a huge opportunity.
It really is.
And then as we talked about, prompt engineering is a vital skill. For anyone using these generative AI tools, it's not just about using the tools, it's about getting the best possible results from them.
So we can't end this deep dive without leaving our listeners with something to ponder.
Absolutely not.
So here's a question. Considering how rapidly AI is advancing, what other skills do you think might become essential in the future? Like what can people start exploring now to get ahead of the curve?
Yeah, it's like trying to predict the future.
I know, right?
But it's an important question.
It is. What advice would you give to someone who wants to stay on top of things?
I think the key is to have this mindset of always learning new things.
Okay.
Be curious, stay informed about what's happening, and don't be afraid to try something new, even if it's a little outside your comfort zone.
I love that. Curiosity and that willingness to learn are superpowers these days.
They are.
So to all our amazing listeners out there, keep your brains engaged and never stop exploring.
That's right.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time. It's not about fearing AI, but understanding how to partner with it, like having a superpowered teammate. That makes a lot of sense. Now, one specific skill that kept popping up in our research was prompt engineering. Can you explain what that is and why it's so important in the world of generative AI?
Absolutely. Prompt engineering is all about crafting those instructions you give to AI tools to get the output you're looking for. It's like giving someone directions. The clearer and more specific your directions are, the better the outcome.
So it's not just knowing how to use the AI tool itself, but knowing how to communicate effectively with it.
Exactly. It's about understanding the nuances of the AI's language, if you will. To illustrate, imagine you're using AI to write a blog post. A basic prompt might be, write a blog post about AI, but a well-engineered prompt would be much more detailed. You'd specify things like the desired tone of the post, who the target audience is, what the key takeaways should be, and even include relevant keywords for SEO.
So the better your prompt, the better the AI's output. That seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But why is that so important, though?
Well, think about it. If you're relying on these tools to help you be more productive, the quality of your output really matters.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
In that Tech Republic article we mentioned, Shrevon Goli, the COO of Coursera, made a really interesting point. He said, without good prompts, the tool won't be able to help employees boost productivity in a meaningful way.
That makes a lot of sense. A poorly written blog post, even if it's generated by AI, isn't going to be very helpful.
Exactly.
So prompt engineering is a crucial skill for anyone wanting to really maximize the potential of AI tools.
Exactly. And as these tools become more sophisticated, our ability to communicate with them effectively becomes even more crucial. It's like learning the language of the future.
So we've got these powerful AI tools at our fingertips, and this free training from Microsoft to help us learn how to use them. What could possibly go wrong? I'm kidding. But this all seems to be moving so fast. Is there anything else we should be talking about as we dive headfirst into this AI-powered future?
It's a good question. It's all very exciting. But it's important to remember that technology is a tool.
Right.
And like any tool, it can be used in different ways. The way we choose to develop and deploy AI will have a huge impact on society. And it's something we all need to be thinking about.
You know, this whole conversation reminds me of something I read recently. It was about how AI is being used to personalize educational experiences for students. Imagine a world where every student has access to a customized learning plan, tailored to their specific strengths and weaknesses. That's the kind of potential we're talking about.
Absolutely.
But it's also important to be mindful of things like data privacy and ensuring equal access to these technologies.
It's a balancing act for sure.
Yeah.
We need to be aware of the potential downsides, even as we embrace the incredible possibilities.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. Can you give us a quick recap of the key takeaways before we wrap things up?
Sure. So we talked about how generative AI is definitely here to stay, and the demand for those skills is only going to continue to grow.
Right.
And we also talked about how Microsoft is really stepping up to make those skills more accessible by offering their professional generative AI certificate for free.
It's a great opportunity.
It is. And then finally, we discussed how important prompt engineering is.
Right.
For anyone working with these generative AI tools, it's all about making sure you get the best possible results from them.
Those are all really great points. But we can't wrap up this deep dive without leaving you, our listeners, with something to think about, right?
Of course not.
So here's a question. Given how quickly this field is changing, what other skills do you think might become essential in the future? What can people start exploring now to get ahead of the curve?
That's a tough one. It's like we're trying to predict the future.
I know, right?
But it's an important question to consider.
It is. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to stay ahead of the game?
You know, I think the key is to really embrace this mindset of continuous learning. Be curious. Stay informed about all the new developments. And don't be afraid to try new things, even if they seem a little bit outside your comfort zone at first.
I love that. Curiosity and a willingness to learn. Those are really superpowers these days.
I think so.
Well, to all our amazing listeners out there, keep those brains engaged and never stop exploring.
That's right.
Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure being here.
We'll see you next time.
See you then.